We we are live, by the way, starting now.
Put that circle around that A. I might bring my circle around you, A. Everybody got something to say. If you disagree with me, better leave. Have my name down. You won't. Ain't gone. Heck yeah. You know mine. You ain't. You late. Better leave. Have my name.
Cupcakes and cakes taste like different things. Don't at me. Real talk. Tim Hortons over Krispy Kreme. Don't at me. I won't lose a race and Need for Speed. Hot Pursuit. Don't at me. There were smoothie places easily. Jamba Juice. Don't at me. I bet when they were storyboarding American Horror Story, they got in a laboratory and made sure the boring oratory's only written for the 14-year-old. When it's sorta gory, use a fisheye lens and filters every form of corny, then perform it poorly. But they did a great job with OJ. Don't at me.
The Knicks are the best in the league. Don't at me. Porzingis is resting his knee. Don't at me. Jackie Chan over Jet Li. Don't at me. I don't watch Dragon Ball Z. Don't at me. Aniston over Jolie. Don't at me. Mofongo's better than beans. Don't at me. I don't think gluten's a thing. Don't at me. I've never seen Lord of the Rings. Don't at me. Michelle Obama is a G. Lemonade over iced tea. Havarti's the best type of cheese. I don't bless you when you sneeze, and I like The Godfather Part 3. Don't at me. Stranger Things Season 2. I'm happy Nancy and Steve are through, and if I'm speaking true, I think that Jonathan's the one that she needs to choose. Don't at me.
Hamilton is great when they sing instead of rap. Don't at me. Spanish is the best, but the grammar's pretty whack. No me arrobas. I'll take Beach Boys over Beatles. Neo and Morpheus need some more sequels. I love everything park, but Christmas is hella lit every time I go to SeaWorld. If you need goggles to go on a ride, then you probably shouldn't go on it. Yo, simulators and 3D rides don't hold a candle to animatronics. I'd rather it be a small world after all than have movie screens making me vomit. Optimus Prime, get me off of this ride and give me some ET robotics. Oh no.
If you put that circle around that A, I might bring my circle around you, A. Everybody got something to say. If you disagree with me, better leave. Have my name down. You won't. Ain't gone. Heck yeah. No mine. You ain't. You late. Better leave. Have my name down.
All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Two Brothers podcast, where we have debates, incredible conversations, and killer stories. I'm Logan,
I'm Spencer.
and this is the show.
Yep, it's just two brothers. That's just two brothers. That's what it's called.
So, I think we're starting out today's show with a debate that you had come up with, Spencer.
Yeah, I do have a debate to come up with. So you're just gonna have to kind of roll with me on this one. I want to pose the question: who would win in a fight? Okay, so just imagine there are two things going at each other, fighting to the end. One of those things is a rake that you would find in a garden. The other thing is a nail. Who would win in a fight? A rake versus a nail.
A rake versus a nail. Like a nail you hit with a hammer.
Yes, like a nail that you would hit with a hammer.
And a rake, and they're fighting each other.
Yes. A rake versus a nail.
Could you explain this concept just a little bit more?
I really don't think that I need to. I think it sounds exactly straightforward. Boxing ring, all right? Rake one corner, nail other corner. Who's gonna win? There's no timeout. There's no timeout. There's no countouts. There's no disqualifications. Who wins?
To the death. You're saying to the death.
Yes, to the death. Who wins?
two objects that can't move on their own fighting.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. And what kind of rake are we talking about? Are we talking about one of those big plastic ones? Are we
I
talking
was
about one that's
thinking.
metal, or like the
I
one that's a rectangle?
So I was thinking like the fan rakes, the one that you see at the typical the suburban home, pulling those leaves in from the fall. I don't know what fall is. I live in Florida. That doesn't happen here, but raking in
I've
all those
experienced
leaves.
fall for the first time these last couple of years. And let me tell you, I understand why it's most people's favorite season. It is beautiful and just it's everything you want.
Yeah.
Um,
So anyway, you have your rake, you have your nail. They're going at it. Who wins? I already know what the answer is. I'm just curious as to what you think.
Okay, so in this fight, does
Mhm.
the nail have the ability to nail itself in without a hammer?
Wouldn't be much of a nail if it did.
Okay.
It's just the nail.
So rake.
Why the rake? Why? So first off, you're wrong. The answer is nail, 100%. But I want to know why you think the rake is going to win this fight.
The reason it's a rake, as I worked as a groundskeeper for a camp, and part of this area for the camp, we did a lot of work, handiwork. You know, nails were like lost because you lose a nail quite easily if you're working. That's why you buy a box of 100 nails, not a box of 100 rakes. I'm just saying. So when I would
That's
rake up
fair.
the area, I would rake up nails. And was my rake ever harmed? No.
Were the nails ever harmed?
Were the nails harmed? Yeah. They were.
How were they harmed? They're still nails. You're like, yeah, it's. I have more nails because I dropped them, but they're still nails.
You know how the nails harmed? Because when I rake that up, that shit going in the garbage, baby. That nail dead.
No, it's not. Just because you throw it in the garbage, it's still metal. It's still alive. Do you know what rots? Do you know what decays? Wood. Do you know
Metal
what half
rust.
a rake is?
Nails get rusty, bro. They decay.
Yeah, but they last so much longer. A piece of wood's gonna be gone way before a nail is.
They got all plastic rakes. They got wood rakes with plastic tips. They got wood rakes with metal tips. They got all metal rakes. In every scenario, the nail will be the loser. Wood will outlive the metal. The metal will outlive the metal because there's more metal on a rake than there is a nail.
No, we're talking about the fan. That's plastic and wood.
You can get it in metal and wood. I'm just saying.
We're not talking about that. We're talking about the fanned rake.
Yeah, the fan rake can come in metal.
That's plastic and wood.
Listen,
plastic and wood versus metal. Nail's gonna win every time.
I'm getting in the comments that I got 1 vote for nail and 1 vote for rake. And the rake team says that the nail's feelings will get hurt, man. I have no proof from the comments that nails are better. So we have 2 against 1 right now in terms of explanation that nails can slip into the rakes. I'm still raking up those nails, baby. If we are talking,
it takes you way too many polls. You're like sitting there, you're like, I still got to get some nails.
If we're talking the suburban plastic and wood rake that you are so determined to be,
did you or did you not ask me exactly what rake we were talking about? And is that or is that not exactly what I said?
I was just asking shape, bro. I was just asking shape. I'm talking, you're raking it up if that nail's horizontal. I'm saying that also if it's vertical, that nail head getting caught in them spokes. I don't know if it's considered a spoke if it's on a rake, but it's getting caught in that spoke. Also, another Team Rake fan, plastic will be around a lot longer than the nails metal will be. I mean,
that depends on how the Earth goes. If all things about global warming says it's true, the plastic's going to melt before the metal.
What's killing the Earth more right now? The metal nails or all the plastic water bottles? That's because the plastic's staying around a lot longer than these metal nails, my brother. Plastic lasts longer than nails. Rake can break up the nails.
Have you ever seen a rake?
If you're talking boxing ring too, flat surface, nothing in the way, you're raking up that nail all day, every day, no mistakes ever.
Have you ever
What's that
seen a
nail gonna
rake
do?
after?
How is that
Hey,
rake?
hey,
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 I'm just saying,
question.
how's the
Have
rake
you
gonna
ever
hurt
seen a
the
rake that's been let to sit outside and it gets all that weather damage, and then you pick that rake up, you sneeze, and now your rake is in 13 pieces because it shattered all the way apart?
No, that ain't how it works. You leave the nail
Oh,
outside,
yeah.
it's rusted, it snap in half. We're getting on nail side. They have numbers on their side. We're saying one nail, one rake in a boxing ring. Numbers have nothing to do right now.
I will say it is one nail versus one rake, but I'm still on nails team 100%.
How when you're raking that nail is it going to puncture or hurt that nail in any way?
How are you raking the nail? There's nobody to use the rake. It's just a rake.
Yeah, but the rake tips over, hits the nail, nails it into the ring. It ain't going nowhere. It's
I
dead.
don't I don't think that anybody is on the belief that a rake can get knocked over at just the right precision to hit a nail with enough force to puncture a boxing ring.
Have you ever seen Tom and Jerry?
Yes.
The rake is always in the place it needs to be for comic relief. It always is. There's never a time where that rake gets missed. The only time it happens is when Tom steps over it and then bam, another rake right there. The rake is always where it needs to be. Do you know what happens in Tom and Jerry with nails? One of them becomes the nail and then they just stop being a nail when it's inconvenient for them because nails suck.
I don't think it's ever convenient for anybody to be a nail. And with that logic, they are never a rake.
And yeah, because you wouldn't want to be a rake because the rake is always there to harm. The nail is there just to be funny. The rake is there to harm and be funny. It has two things. The nail one. And the nail ain't nothing without something helping it. The nail is how do I put this?
It's revered as one of the greatest beds in the world.
The nail is a very bland French fry. It is just the vessel to get the sauce into your mouth. A nail is just a vessel. The rake can be a vessel for comedy, can be a thing that does hard work, and is always in the right place at the right time. You
Let me ask you
never
a
buy a
question.
rake, but you always have one available.
Let me ask you a question. Do you like living in a house? Only possible by a nail.
I don't live in a house.
Apartment?
I live in
Shelter?
a concrete apartment building. Do you know that they don't use nails for concrete? They just build the concrete and they use these cool spike rod things.
Rhubarb, which is kind of a form of a nail.
It ain't a form of a nail. It's just metal. It's just different metal.
A nail is just metal.
Yeah, and rakes can be metal too. So the whole metal thing don't do anything.
I mean, it's still a fastener. It holds things together.
Oh shit, dude. Yeah, nails were used to crucify Jesus Christ. Do you hate God? Are you a sinner? Are you I can't. This is hard for me. Do you hate that someone died for our sins? And also Jesus Christ was the only person crucified. There were many people crucified. And it's just, are you on team crucifixion, Spencer? How are you better than a Nazi?
I mean, if you want to go with nails that big, I'm just saying a nail that big, your rake isn't raking that nail.
Yeah, the rake, because the only thing that the rake will get harmed by is small, little, tiny, itty bitty nails that don't hold shit together. The rake can break up big nails because it's big. The rake is big. Smaller things get through a rake.
I still don't think that you could use the rake against a big construction spike.
I think I could. You could rake it, you could pick it up, and you could lacrosse that shit to the trash, to the graveyard, because nails are shit compared to rakes.
Wow. I didn't think you were that strongly opposed to it, but I mean, I guess you are.
You know, if this was a rebar, whatever, I'm bad with words, versus a rake, rebar would win because uh in many comic books, a good guy has fallen on one of those shit.
On one of those things and then they're stuck there.
Wolverine, Deadpool, that's both in comic books and video games.
I'm pretty sure
Um,
Spider-Man 3 did that.
yeah, it's just it's shitty. Road spikes, same thing. Rake lacrossing that shit into the graveyard.
What about like a spike that holds a railroad track together?
I was thinking about that too. Lacrosse that shit into the graveyard.
I think the rake breaks when you try to push that.
You know, lacrosse.
What?
Have you
What
ever played
about
lacrosse? Do you know what
No,
lacrosse is?
I've never played lacrosse.
Okay, so you have a stick, and then you have like
Yeah.
a cup at the end, and you pick up the
Uh-huh.
ball, and then you throw the ball. You catapult
Gotcha.
that shit. So you lacrosse that shit into the graveyard because it ain't winning.
I don't think that you could lacrosse that with a rake. I think it would be
It,
too heavy and it would
it
break the
has
rake.
nothing. It has the rake is structurally sound. It has nothing to do with the rake. More the strength of the person catapult.
I think you are imagining these rakes way stronger than they actually are.
Have you used these rakes? I've used these rakes.
I've used these
I
rakes.
have busted a hole in the middle of the rake, and it still works perfectly fine. That rake doesn't work until that plastic is completely off, and it's just a wooden stick.
Oh, wooden stick.
Yeah, I have to drink. Hold on.
Somebody got a little too excited when they were talking about rakes.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go get more liquid soon. So, I don't know what a pole barn steak is, but oh, I'm getting that Jackie is also Team Rake from our Viking friend. So,
I mean, you can think Team Rake all you want, but the answer is still obviously Nail, and I'm not being changed on that thought process.
and that's fine, but just know that you're living the life on the wrong path.
There's two paths, two brothers, two paths. One leads down to a rake, the other leads down to a nail.
Yeah, and that is important to me. So, yeah. So, but do you know what? On the topic of nails, do you know what? Do you know what that kind of reminds me of? Another spiky metal object that can harm someone.
There's a lot of spiky metal things that can harm people.
There are, but there's a couple in particular that are small, loose, and just sometimes lying around. You know what I mean? Oh, let's see. How do I put this? A fish hook, getting caught in your foot. I feel like one or two people. Ari is also Team Rake, by the way. There's one or two people here that I know that have gotten a fish hook in their foot. But it wasn't me.
Well, I never got a fish hook stuck in my foot. I only got a fish hook stuck in my toe.
Yeah, that's part of the foot. Some of us were too busy talking about rakes and nails when they were typing. So a fish hook in their foot, aka / the toe.
You want to know about that story? Okay.
I would love to know about the story while I go get another drink.
While you go get another drink. So we used to have fishing equipment, and I was walking around barefoot once, and the amazing thing about a fish hook is it goes in very quickly because that's what they're designed for. And I happened to have kicked right where the fish hook was, and I had the fish hook go right into my big toe. It's nice up in there. And in case you don't know, the design of a fishhook is to go in and then to catch on the way out, so it does not come out without tearing more.
Yeah, it's got the little
It's got
triangle.
the little the catch on it. So um I had to get that removed, and the only way to get rid of it is to pull it out the same way, so it rips all the way back through. I think if I remember correctly,
You were a little bitch.
I was very much a little bitch during the whole thing, and I had to lay down while Ted grabbed pliers to pull it out. And yeah, it is called a barb. Thank you very much.
Do you want to know something crazy though? That I'm sad that you have forgotten. It wasn't Ted who grabbed the pliers. It was our grandfather. Because he kept telling you, shut up.
Was maybe I did
the
get it in my
grandfather.
foot twice, because I definitely remember Ted doing it in Inverness once.
No, I'm talking about when we were at our grandparents' house and you were sitting on one of the high top chairs.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, because it was in there. It was in there for a good, I think it took 45 minutes to get it out of your foot.
Yeah. If I had a nickel for every time that happened, I'd only have 2 nickels, but it's weird that it happened twice.
Real quick in the positive story, I just want everyone to know that I'm drinking Liquid Death Mango Chainsaw Sparkling Water, and it is fantastic. Liquid Death, please sponsor us. I don't like sparkling water, but Liquid Death did it right.
Liquid Death does a lot of things right.
Oh, dude, Liquid Death, great marketing, just great water in general. I like their water, but sparkling water, they did it right. Not for Buried Alive, it's gross, but the lime and lemon one and the mango chainsaw is good. I haven't had the melon one yet.
Isn't there water from the Colorado River or the Colorado Springs?
Oh, it is from a mountain.
Maybe the Rocky Mountain Range.
I think it is the Rocky Mountain Range. Let's see. It probably says on here. It does not say on here.
No.
But it is mountain water, which is cool because who doesn't like mountains?
It's mountain water. On the topic of the fishhook thing,
is great.
That's what my face looked like when I had the fishhook in it. What I have had inserted into my foot more than fishhooks is thumbtacks. I don't know how or why, but my feet like to find thumbtacks.
It's mostly because you had a lot of thumbtacks in your walls, and then they would come out, and instead of finding them, you would just put a new one.
I actually think it's because I had a whole. I still have a glass full of thumbtacks. It's in the garage now, but I used to have the glass full in the room. So whenever it would get knocked over, they would go everywhere, and I would think I would pick them all up.
And the worst is the push pin ones, because then they get flat with your foot.
Yeah, there's not a good way to get up in there and use the leverage.
No. Do you know what I think might be worse than a fishhook and a thumbtack? What we call them in Florida, sand spurs.
Oh, no, I disagree.
Right plant and get 10 of them in here.
I disagree. I think the fishhook is worse. But the struggle with the sandburrs is I've heard them called sandburrs and sand spurs, and I don't know if either of those are the correct wordings.
Some people also call them in the states that don't have hitchhikers and sand spurs, they call them hitchhikers. Some call them trackers. They're basically little balls just that are spiky as hell, and they hurt when you step on them.
And then you have to grab it and pull it out, and you have to grab it with enough force that you end up stabbing your fingers, and then you have to pull it out of your fingers afterwards. And then it's just a never-ending cycle because you go from one finger to the next and back and forth, and then when you're finally done, you're a bloody mess.
Yeah, those are rough, man.
Those are tough.
Let's talk about fish hooks. I don't know how familiar you are with them, but there are several types. There's the J with the barb. There's the triple J.
Mhm.
I don't know if you've watched SpongeBob.
I
When
have.
they touch them and to get the cheese. Uh,
Mhm.
so there's the triple barb, then there's the double J. Which do you think would be the worst one to step on?
Um, so I think the one that I stepped on is probably the worst one, and I'm gonna say um it's because so it's a single J, and on the single J, it's flat and the hook is a little bit longer, so it goes deeper into the foot.
I will say the one at our grandparents' house was a triple J, and that's why it took so long to get out because you had two of the three, so you couldn't
Mm,
pull. They had to
there
maneuver.
wasn't a way to get it out.
There was not a way to get it out. They actually talked at one point about getting a saw and trying to cut like an angle grinder and cutting the things. But our mom vetoed it because
Okay,
it's
so
not enough space.
I'm just gonna say you said that I responded like a little bitch, but I think I responded quite well if that's actually what happened, because I don't remember that. How would you feel if you had two hooks in your foot and then they were talking about bringing an ankle grinder in to bring up the hook, which is in your foot?
I would say it's very similar to having tubes going in your body and being violently ripped out. It sucks, and it's it is yes, you can be a little bitch. I'm not saying that it was a bad thing you were a little bitch. I'm just saying you were always a bigger guy and scary, especially because you would beat me up a lot. I would
Yeah,
hold
I
my own
did.
sometimes. Let's be honest. I did hold my own a few times. I had the death chin and the legs to do it.
You did. You and that chin.
But just seeing you in that much pain, man, being a little bitch was kind of terrifying. Because if it's enough, I mean, and we were still like children. You were pretty young still, but like to
I'm
see
just thinking in
you
my mind, you're like, that guy doesn't get hurt by anything. And then you see
for
me
real,
getting hurt, and you're like, oh my God, what if that
like
happens to me?
it was you were already in excruciating pain. Then anytime they moved it just to try and get one of the prongs out, you couldn't handle. Like there were people holding your leg in place, then
Yeah, I
people
remember
holding
that.
you in place,
I'm pretty
and
sure someone
then
sat on me.
they were trying they were trying to figure out how the fuck to get this out of you, man. It was intense, and I'm just sitting there in the back like, oh god, like I'm like, I want to see, but also this is scary, dude. That could have been me. Like we used to play, we were wild kids. We used to play with knives, man. We used to like hold each other up, like I'm gonna stab you now. Like we, it's surprised we're not dead, but we used to be just up close with each other with knives, and that was never as terrifying as you having a fish hook in your foot.
I think it's because we never intended to actually like arm each other with anything. And this was like, oh, if we mess up, oh boy, that's what it would be like.
There were times where I felt like you were close to murdering me. Like you were going in with such violence and anger that like it could have happened by accident. Like never to you. I don't think you ever were like I'm gonna kill this, but there was times where I'm like he's intending to maim.
I,
He's intending to give me a good old fashioned flesh wound.
I don't I don't know if I ever tried to do that. I do remember breaking your door once, but we'll save that for another day.
Yeah, that was top 10 times that Logan was terrified for his life.
Top 10? Hey, I'll take it.
Yeah, I mean, I really haven't been that scared that I was going to lose my life in my life. I'll be honest with you. I mean, even this most recent time I was in the
Even
hospital,
when
I
you
don't
were
think
actually about to die, you weren't even like fully there or mentally with it to
I
know.
really don't think that makes the top 10 of times I was scared in my life. um, Now I will like to backtrack a little bit. Using a sock to remove the sand spurs, seems like an effective strategy, but I feel like it would just stick into your hand through the sock. Because I remember like using my shirt to do that, and it would happen. And also when it sticks to your pants, and then it cuts you through your pants.
Yeah,
So
but using this sock, that would eliminate when you're like, yeah, you might stick yourself when you're pulling it off, but then you just pull your hand out of the sock and then it's not on you
but
anymore.
now
Like
you have to
you
get it off the sock.
that's an easier task than getting it out of your body.
And my dumbass would turn the sock inside out, so then when I took the sock off, it was right side in, and I'd forget about it, and then I would put it on and just stab it into my foot because I don't like my socks being inside out. I have to I don't fold my socks in any way that they're inside out. They have to be right side in. Because that's just how I have to have it. And then I just fold it slightly on the top so they just barely stick together, and I grab them and boom, ready to go. No inconvenience in the morning trying to, oh shit, gotta turn this sock inside out. That's 30 extra seconds. Yes, it takes me 30 seconds to turn the sock right side out. Mostly because of the bum hand. That's 30 seconds you don't get back, you know?
You
And
are right. That's 30
I like
seconds doing
to-
something you didn't need to.
I like to wake up pretty close to the timer.
No, if you want me to expose your dirty secrets, you like to wake up after your alarm has been going off for 23 minutes.
Yeah.
And the only reason is because your big brother comes over and hits you with an air horn because your timer's still going off
Someone else has
next to your
wake me up.
head.
My father, your father as well, because we are two brothers. That is the podcast.
Just two
Used to
brothers.
come into the room and shine his flashlight because no sound would wake me up. But he would shine the flashlight once, I would be up and ready to go. And he would laugh because he's just like, that's fucking stupid, dude. What is wrong with you? Your alarm is right next to your head, been going off for an hour, and then bam, one flick of a flashlight and you're awake. Get your things right. I have been doing better on sleeping through my alarm. I wake up now. It's gotten better changing my alarm to my ringtone because I will always hear my ringtone and wake up to answer a phone call.
Is your ringtone still the scarecrow thing?
No, I finally changed it after 6 years.
What did you change it to?
I changed it to the animated Iron Man theme song. At the part where it talks about how his heart is his power. Because at the current moment my heart is powered. So I wake up easier, and it's also just I don't know why I always listen to music to fall asleep, so like more songs would
I
it
listen to
or noise
soundscapes and calm.
would wake me up. Yeah, I started doing that, and that helped me change to listening to my alarm now. But I've gotten better with sleeping without music. That's mostly thanks to sleeping in a hospital for a month and a half.
That's fair. The weekend likes to put me to sleep a lot.
Does the weekend put
If
you
I'm
to
not-
sleep?
If I'm not doing the Calm app, then yeah, pretty much the Weekend After Hours album specifically, I have fallen asleep to that album more times than I think I can count.
Waking up to Rage Against the Machine's "Wake Up" is inadvisable. Got it. How do we get on the topic of waking up?
You were talking about the socks.
Oh, yeah.
Folding them.
Yeah, because I do like to play it very close to the chest.
Yes, you do.
When it comes to that. But that's also why I always like to show up to places early because I know I'm going to leave at the last second possible. But then I get there really early and it's like it works out. Whereas like how you do it, you tell people be ready by 5 o'clock so that they are ready by 5:30 when you want to leave. That's the tactic. I just like showing up places early, mostly because I didn't have a car while I started working for a little while. So I would be dropped off at work. You would take me to work, and I'd be like 3 hours early or an hour and a half, and I would just sit there and wait. And I really like doing that because I don't want to be late. Um,
I
and
I used to show up real early and just sit in my car. I spent a lot of time sitting in my car.
yeah, you can listen to music. It's really easy to do that with working at places like Universal. It's not so easy doing that working at places like Wawa, where
Mhm.
or Chick-fil-A, where you don't really have a break room, so it's awkward. And if you have a car that doesn't have AC in Florida, just
Yeah,
doesn't
you can't do that. Yeah.
waiting in your car just doesn't work. But that's when that's when you live really close to where you work, or work somewhere really close to where you work also, so that you don't have that waiting period. Then there's also just the tactic of showing up late all the time, but also like being indisposable because no one wants to work at the gas station. I had I had a coworker who did that. They always were like 10 minutes late, and they just did not give a shit. Um, to bathe in a lake in someone's backyard, I don't think that I would want to ever go in someone's lake in their backyard. That is dirty. Gators are actually not a problem. Gators won't hurt you. It's just all the disease in the lake that will. Um,
I mean, yeah, if you don't really mess with the alligators, they don't do anything to you here.
I mean, baby gators will show up in people's pools.
That's very true.
Yeah. Fun fact: I have seen more gators in South Carolina's Hilton Head Island than I have in Florida all my life.
I mean, that's because we
One
didn't
golf
go out looking for them.
That is
If
true.
you did golf courses here in Florida, you'd see them a lot more often. They are
Yeah.
there almost every day.
Well, at a few golf courses I went to, there was like one or two here or there, but I'm talking Hilton Head Island had at least 6 at every hole.
6
like-
at every hole.
Yeah, and
That
like the
seems
big ones that people
excessive.
wear. It was because I was like, I'd be walking to grab my ball, and someone's like, "Logan, watch out for that gator," and I'm like, "Where?" And they're like right next to me, and I'm like, "Oh, there's so much that you just think that they are the ground."
I feel like Hilton Head Golf Course probably is just too difficult, so they just have all the gators so that you hurry up and move along.
Yeah, they're like, "Oh, I don't need to get that ball. Let me just place a new one down." It was a very difficult course because I'd really only played on flat Florida courses, so playing on that one was interesting. But it was nice. I learned that I didn't suck really.
That's good to know that you didn't suck.
Yeah, I enjoy golfing. I would like to do it more. Sports? What do you like?
I don't think Colorado is the place to do golfing, but
Yeah, there's a lot of golf courses around. It just makes it harder. Because the hole is 30 feet above where you start. But yeah, that's what climbing's for. If you can't golf here, you climb. Or
I guess that's fair.
snowboard, or other rich white people things like hiking.
or skiing.
Yeah. That's why I haven't started doing any of them yet. Is there a sport you like, Spencer?
I'm not really a huge sports person, but recently we have gotten into watching hockey. Explicitly, we really only watch Tampa Bay Lightning games or Boston Bruins games because that's Angela's team. I feel like I'm not super into it to where I would need to continually watch all of the games, but I put it on if there's nothing else, and I don't hate it. It's the most entertaining sport that I've watched. It's very physical, and I like that aspect.
Watch a Las Vegas Knights game, and you will like hockey a lot more. Tampa Bay Lightning has some good games, but they also are trash. Sometimes
I don't think they're trash at all, my guy.
there are some games where they just absolutely blow it.
I mean, that's fair.
And so they play like trash sometimes.
Have you
But
seen the Las Vegas Knights opening? They don't show it on TV, but somebody recorded it. It's pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, I have
They
not
have
seen
like
it,
a
but I've heard a
full
lot about it.
they have a full fight on the ice, like with a knight. It's
Fencing.
like medieval times, but on hockey ice.
Do you remember when we used to fence outside the house?
Yep.
That was a good time. That's where I really learned about height advantages. Because you have, I now have arms that could probably match you now.
Mhm.
But I used to have little 5'4" Logan arms, and you had 6'9" arms. Um, uh,
6'9". Giving me an extra inch there. Thanks.
I like saying that you're 6'9" rather than 6'8" because 6'9" is a funny number.
Nice.
And it's nice, yeah. So, we are getting told WWE wrestling is a
WWE
sport
wrestling.
of
I'm gonna say as much as they say that they are a sport entertainment, I do not classify WWE as a sport. It's very physical. I will say that, but it's not like better skill is going to get you a win. Um, it's all coming from a place that I very much enjoy wrestling. It's all fixed and it's all crafted in such a way. So I don't know if I would call it a sport.
okay. On that note, I have a surprise debate. Oh man, I just deleted it. I have a surprise debate.
A surprise debate. Um, Someone has asked that we confirm that Pluto is indeed a planet.
Oh, Pluto's a planet for once you get planet status, you're not never a planet.
All right, I know that we were going to agree on that, and that's why I could slide this one in so quick. But yeah, Pluto is definitely a planet.
President, once you're no longer president, you're still referred to as president. So once you're a planet, you're always referred to as a planet.
That's fair. Yeah, I like that.
So surprise debate, is marching band a sport?
Ooh. I don't think I would consider marching band a sport. However, I understand the idea of competitive marching band. And I do think that marching band is extremely physical too. Honestly, I think I think that marching band works harder and does more physical than the actual players on the football field.
You're wrong. It is a sport. Do you consider dancing a sport?
No.
Okay, so this is where things go wrong.
I don't consider dancing, and I also don't think I consider cheerleading a sport.
There are different types of sports. There are contact sports, which I feel like you are. What is your definitive definition of overall sports? But there's different sports. There's contact sports. There's esports, as our chatter just said, and
Yeah.
then there's other sports.
I have
Is
one
rock
thing.
climbing a sport to you?
I'm going to put one thing in here that's
Okay.
going to see where I sit. Is marching band in the Olympics? Is dancing in the Olympics?
Um,
Not a sport.
Okay, so you're considering if it's in the Olympics, it's a sport. So skateboarding is now officially a sport to you.
Absolutely. For sure.
Okay.
I think if it's in the Olympics, you can call it a sport. If it's not in the Olympics, I think that you can do physical things, and I think that that's intense, but I would not classify them as a sport. Hiking is not a sport. Rock climbing is not a sport. However, I do think that there is competitive rock climbing, and I do think that you can be extremely good at rock climbing, but I wouldn't call it a sport.
Got it. But golf is golf in the Olympics? Is golf in the Olympics?
I don't know. I'll look it up.
I consider marching band a sport because
Golf is Golf was in the Olympics.
Got it. So if
So
it's no
golf is a
longer in the
sport.
Olympics, is it no longer a sport?
No, it was a sport. Once you gain sport status, you never lose sport status.
Got it.
Same as president, same as planet.
I think anything where you are being physical and can be competitive, like is recognized as a competitive thing, should be considered a sport.
So exercise is a
especially-
sport.
Well, there's not competitive exercising.
You're telling me that you've never seen two dudes go into a gym, get on the treadmill, and then one sees that the one guy is going a little faster, so he ups his speed.
That's like pulling up at a stoplight and making eye contact and racing to the next one.
Racing is a sport.
Competitive art was in the Olympics until 1954.
Art's a
So
sport.
art is a sport.
Art's a sport.
That's actually kind of sick. Viking, what did you play in marching band? I just want to know. But it is a sport, and so you should say weightlifting. There's competitive. Weightlifting is considered a sport in schools, and it is competitive.
Yeah, it's considered a
in the
sport.
Olympics.
Yeah, it is.
Would you consider bowling a sport? Bowling is recognized as a sport, but it's not in the Olympics. But there's competitive bowling. So I'm just saying, with all that said, marching band is very physical. You have to learn a routine, and you can compete. Cheerleading,
Bowling was in the Olympics.
trumpet, and baritone. I used to play baritone, but I switched to trombone.
Bowling was in the Olympics. I don't know if you heard that.
Cheerleading is, I heard you. Bowling is in the Olympics. That's cool now. Could you imagine being on the Olympic bowling team? That's just wild. If running can be considered a sport, if that's the baseline for what we have as sport, running 200 meters really fast, then I feel like marching band should be considered a sport. Also, isn't rock
Apparently cheerleading is actually going to become a sport. It is not a sport, but it's planned to enter in the 2028
Fuck
Olympics.
that shit. If cheerleading is going to be in the Olympics, the marching band is definitely a sport. If there is a competition for it on TV, I think it should be considered a sport. If it's like an X Games shit is sports. I mean, let's be honest. Dirt bike racing, that's a sport. Race car driving, that's a sport.
Yep.
And there are live TV rock climbing competitions. So rock climbing should be considered a sport. And I mean, the marching band's a sport. I'm just gonna say it. And I feel like you should agree.
As much as I want to agree, I don't think it's a sport.
I stayed physically fit because of marching band.
I'm aware. I'm saying that it's extremely physical, and I understand that, but I don't think it's a sport.
Synchronized swimming is just marching band in the water without instruments.
That is fair.
And synchronized swimming
is a sport,
in the
though.
Olympics.
And and marching band's not a sport.
So I'm going to get marching band in the next Olympics, so you can recognize it as a sport. And all you haters,
I think you should.
wrong.
I think they finally deserve it.
I think they do too. It's fucking hard.
Do you feel like you ever were able to fully play the trombone correctly?
Yeah, I was really good at it. Did you not think I was good at it?
Well, I was just curious because you need to extend your arms the full way in order to play the trombone correctly.
Yeah. So I was often in first, not as a braggy thing, but I was often in first or second chair, and they played.
Well, first chair is better than second. So saying I was sometimes in first, but mainly in second is when there's only two people to play.
There wasn't only two people. There wasn't only two people.
When there's only three people playing trombones.
And that's not always the case. Like the other person who played trombone who was in my class, he had trigger trombone, which allows you to play a more various range of notes, but it extends it, and so it makes you able to play lower notes more often. So he was often the lower chair when there were more of us because he would get the lower part.
That's just called a bass trombone.
I mean, yes. But so in most cases, not all, the first or second chair plays higher than the third and fourth. That's how it goes. So I would always play higher. So I didn't need long arms because you wouldn't often go past third or fourth position. That's just a tuba.
That's just a tuba.
So I was always
what?
playing
Hang
higher
on.
parts.
I'm about to. I think we should just start renaming all instruments and just call them something. So let's take the violin here. I think it should just be called a bass violin, an alto violin, a tenor violin, and then a soprano violin, rather than a bass, a cello.
Do you want to have your mind blown though?
And a viola.
There's a tenor violin and like an alto violin as well.
Is there?
Yeah.
Do they just sound like a viola?
They're they're slightly small. It's like slightly bigger than a viola, but slightly smaller than a violin. Slightly bigger than a violin, but still smaller than a cello.
That sounds awkward to hold.
It's like unless you tenor guitars.
Unless you turn it to its side and then cello, you've got yourself a bass.
Also, Body Armor, please sponsor us. I literally live off your drinks. I grabbed 3 because I'm drinking a lot during this.
You're drinking a lot. That's up to 5 drinks.
Dude, I have to stay hydrated, my man. It's like a requirement to live at the moment. Yeah. Just like a baritone and a trombone are basically the same thing, but like not at the same time. And a baritone is just a smaller tuba. So, yeah, no, it's crazy. It's just like also there's ukulele and then there's like a tenor and a bass ukulele. Play me a G chord. I don't
wow, that was spot on.
Yeah,
what a prodigy with the key ring.
Oh, so yeah. Okay, so then that surprise debate. Marching band's a sport, and I will get it in the Olympics.
I think you should.
So how about we rollo on to the next segment of our show?
You want to rollo on to the next segment of the show?
Yeah, it's food review time, Spencer.
Food review time.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do some food review. I think today we are planning on trying. We both full disclosure. Logan and I both have tried what we're reviewing before, but it's been a while since either of us have really had it. But we've got
literally yesterday we both ate these.
I didn't eat one yesterday. I've kept my palate clean just so I can give a good review.
I ate one yesterday because I bought 2 because I was really in the mood to have them yesterday. So yeah, we got Rolos today. What exactly? How would you describe what a Rolo is, Spencer?
If I'm not mistaken, I will give my description before I read directly what the package says.
Does it look like a crayon or a penis?
It is a caramel chew dipped and coated in a layer of chocolate.
Sorry, it's not dipped. It's wrapped in rich chocolate.
You are correct. The literal description is creamy caramels wrapped in rich chocolate candy.
Okay, so I remember as a kid that when we ate these, when you opened up the package, they always came back to back, butt to butt, or head to head, right? But the last package I got, the last package I had, what they were all like straight head to head,
like this.
They were all stacked like not correctly. Tip to tip. That's called docking.
It's called docking.
All
All
right.
right, shall we?
Jumped the gun a little bit. My bad.
You did indeed.
We just suckered all of you into watching two men eat. So, you know, that's the only reason we have food review time, so you can watch two grown men eat food. We had to create the podcast illusion around it. It's just a normal Thursday for us. All right, Spencer, how would you rate the Rolo? You had Wendy's? Damn it, we should have had Wendy's. Fan interaction with this one.
For me, believe it or not, it's really not that high up on my candy list. I think I'm going to give it a 4.6 out of 10 on my candy list. It's delicious. It's sweet. It's savory with the caramel. I think the caramel sticks to my teeth a little bit too much. I don't know why you're laughing. I'm trying to give a food review, bud.
Yeah, no, you're doing great.
I'm giving it a 4.6 out of 10.
4.6 out of 10. I remember I used to love the shit out of these. This used to be like, yeah, you can have a Hershey slogan, but like, Rolos are too expensive. Like, I know it wasn't. They were probably the same price. But like, to me, Rolos were like rich people candy. They were the Gardein or Garden Walla or whatever they're called, caramels of. They were basically
The
on that scale.
Ghirardelli.
Yeah, they were on that scale to me. But eating them now, I could eat like 100 of these and not feel bad about myself. Like I would the next day probably, but I could just sit here and eat them. They are delicious. Definitely not on my top scale of candies. Definitely not below a 5 though. That's kind of rude to the Rolos.
What I'm asking is,
It could be nostalgia talking, but I'm gonna give it a 6.
if you were trick or treating, and you gross. If you were trick or treating, and you got Rolos in your trick or treat basket, but then you have your Snickers, your Twix, your even Milky Ways, Whoppers.
Are we talking about like a single Rolo or like a whole tube of Rolo?
Single Rolo.
Oh, well, I wouldn't be happy about it.
That's why it's under a 5.
But you don't buy just a single Rolo from a store. You buy a tube of them.
Yeah.
So I would just be mad at the person who gave me Mr. Goodbar is the shit, dude. Oh my God.
I love the special dark chocolate out of that 4-pack.
Do you know you can just buy a Mr. Goodbar? I didn't know that for a very long time.
Yeah, man. I'm also the weird guy who really likes the Almond Joys. Like, that's my favorite. When I go and buy candy to give out to trick-or-treaters, I exclusively buy the bags that have the Almond Joys, and then I just keep them. I don't give those ones out. I keep the Almond Joys for myself.
At least you're not a Mounds guy. I like Mounds because it's dark chocolate, but it it lacks the almond. So like, who buys a Mounds?
Over in Europe, they have Bounty, and Bounty is basically an Almond Joy without the almonds. So it's the milk.
No, we had
chocolate
Bounties
with
here
it.
in America, right? There was like one,
yeah.
man.
I like Bounties.
I like an almond Snickers over a regular Snickers.
Almond Snickers does slap.
Mm-hmm. Do you like almond Snickers?
Better
Nothing
than a peanut butter Snickers.
Yeah, I've only had peanut butter Snickers like once, and I wasn't a fan. I don't think I like
That's
all
fair.
the Snickers. You can't if you start adding peanut butter to your candy bar, you have to know that you're not going to be good compared to Reese's. Like you just have to know that
Reese's does have
the monopoly
the
they got it,
monopoly on peanut butter candies.
and I mean no candy beats
Well,
a Reese's fast break.
okay, hang on. I said that, but Butterfinger, it's
Nope.
different. It's crunchy
Butterfinger
peanut
isn't-
butter.
Oh, I don't really get peanut butter taste from a Butterfinger.
It's
get-
literally dried peanut butter.
I just don't. Yeah, but I don't get a peanut buttery taste, and it's not better than a Reese's.
Hot take. I think a Butterfingers is better than a Reese's, but I think a fast break is top tier. You can't beat a fast break.
Can't be
I
a
also
fast
think
break.
the Reese's sticks is also better than a Butterfingers. And the Take 5. Do you remember when it was just Take 5 and then Reese's came in and Reese's was like, watch what we can do?
Reese's. I love Kit Kats. Kit Kats, I love them with a passion. Not better than a fast break.
Oh, no. Kit Kats for me are actually pretty low on my list. I don't think they're terrible, but I'm never buying a Kit Kat. I'll eat a Kit Kat, but I'm not going to buy it.
Love a Kit Kat. The big
Have you
cat
had
Kit
the
Kat
Have you had the
really
mint?
better.
The
It's
mint Kit Kat?
Crunchy 80s candy.
Oh,
I'm a guy who likes a good crunch in all his on most of his foods for some reason,
okay.
and
Crunchy
so
guy.
crunchy, dark chocolate and mint Kit Kat beats Andy Candy.
That's fair. Andy's candy is too rich. I like Andy's candy. You eat 1 or 2 or 3 and you're good, but if you try to do any more, then you just feel you're about to drop. I ate a whole package in one sitting, aren't you?
Close to
Just
it.
say it. Just say it. You know that's what you're gonna say.
Close to it. When I'm ready to eat a whole package of something, I set like 2 of them aside so that the next day when I go, man, I could really go for an Andy's candy right now. I'm like, oh shit, I still have 2. Reese's Pieces are
yeah.
good, but they lack chocolate. I love Reese's Pieces, but sometimes you need that chocolate in there. But it
Okay, so
doesn't need a fast break.
I have a question for you then. Have you ever just set something aside, food wise or drink wise? I did this with a drink recently, and you ever just set something aside because like you know that you're gonna need it at one point, and you can't have it until you know that you need it, but you don't know when you're gonna need it. You'll just know when you know. Does that make sense?
Yeah, can I be honest with you?
Yeah.
In my entire adult life, so I have this real bad problem. If I put something in a cupboard and I close the cupboard, forget about it. If I
Okay.
put something in the fridge and I close the fridge, I forget about it unless I need something that goes along with what I'm eating.
Okay.
That's why most of the time my sodas are out on the counter, all my drinks are out of the counter, all my food's on the counter, and people that if I don't live on my own, people who I live with get mad about. And they put it away, and I'm like, where did all my things go? They're gone. They've been stolen. They're no longer in the house.
That's the only logical explanation.
Yeah. So I don't often shop in a big amount. I basically get what I'm going to eat that night. And anytime I have gotten something for myself that I'm like, man, I do need to put this aside because I have done it. So the answer to your question is yes. I will forget about it. And then when I really need that thing, I will go get that thing. And then I'll come back and have that thing. And then 3 months later, I'll find it. And I'm like, fuck, I did do that for myself. But the best way I can describe that I have done that for myself is a very short term. When I was still allowed to smoke the weed before I died, past Logan would either order himself food. Like I would go to where I was going to eat. I'd order the food. I'd go outside and get blazed. come back in, high out of my mind, just being like, fuck, I could really eat right now. 3 seconds later, food is in front of me. And I think past Logan all the time.
Every time.
Or I'll go and I'll get my snacks and then I'll put them on the counter and then I'll smoke and I'll come in and be like, fuck, you know what I could destroy right now? A package of Oreos. Oreos right there, milk in the fridge. Milk was
Okay.
the one thing that, like, I'm telling you, I won't forget that's in the fridge if I eat stuff that needs milk, like Oreos and cereal.
I need milk with almost anything.
Yeah, but like I will buy milk and I'll forget about it if I don't have anything that pairs with milk.
That's
Um,
crazy. I could. There's no way.
Dude, it sucks.
I'm a milk drinker though, so
Yeah. Do you think that people started the whole milk before the cereal thing just to create a problem in the world? Or do you think people actually logically did that shit?
there's
Like-
no logic behind
did
it.
it? Like, do you think people just naturally were like milk and then someone one day was like, oh shit, that's weird? Or do you think someone was like, I'm going to create chaos in the world?
You know, I think what happened was somebody poured their cereal, somebody poured their milk, they ate their cereal, and they went, I could use another bowl. And then they saw that the milk was already in the bowl, and they were like, well, this isn't going to work. Wait a second.
Yeah,
And
that's
then they
the only
put their
time.
cereal on top.
That's the only time you put cereal after milk, is when the milk has
Correct.
previously had cereal with it.
Correct.
But you don't add more milk and then add cereal. You add more cereal and then you add more milk if you need more milk.
Yes, you do.
That's the way it goes. And I think someone was like, I just want to fuck the. Someone was like, it's basically like there was a group of people eating watermelon and someone said, fuck it, and just ate the rind first. Just
Like you.
it's just so bizarre, but now it gets people thinking. And then someone asks the question, and you know, when you ask that question, does anyone else eat the rind of the watermelon first? There's going to be those people out there that just say yes to
Just to
keep it
cause the
going.
problem.
And then
Oh,
it's
well, yeah, of course. Because, you know, it's fun. It's fun to cause chaos. In the chat, Jackie O said that they get milk delivered from the local dairy. That's awesome. I'm very curious. Does it come at like semi-room temperature, or is it chilled when it comes?
it's a cold
it
milk
like
truck.
Is
It's a
it
refrigerated
freshly? Is it freshly milked every single day? I'm just curious. I recently traveled to Europe, and their milk tastes completely different over there. It is
Cool.
from an old school looking truck, though.
Did you know that eggs here in America,
Yes.
they clean there's like an outer waxy coat on them, and they clean those off in here in America, so that when we buy them, they spoil faster. That way we have to buy more eggs.
Wouldn't surprise me.
That's why, like, if you get like if you have chickens and you the Farmers Association is going to they're part of the
They're part of the Illuminati.
that's why, like, if you get eggs from like someone who has chickens, they can last a lot longer, and you don't have to refrigerate them because they have that outer coating. But once you remove that coating and refrigerate them, they go bad. Just like cheese, you put cheese in the refrigerator, it goes bad faster. Also, cheese really will take a very long time to spoil, and it spoils faster because if you touch it. So if you like want your cheese to last a long time, don't touch the actual cheese when you're cutting it up, and that the rest of the cheese will last a lot longer. But as soon as your oils interact with it, it will spoil faster.
I didn't know that.
You spray, get butter. Oh, you also get butter.
We
and eggs.
also get butter and eggs.
I thought you were
Yeah.
gonna continue on.
You seem to know a lot about food and cooking.
I do. I am quite knowledgeable about it. It might be because I am a chef.
You're a chef.
Yeah.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I am a chef.
Um, cool. I mean, I like to cook a lot too. So I mean, I guess what kind of got you into cooking? What got you started?
That is the question. How did we get into cooking? Um,
I
so
mean, I can start if you want. You actually have a job as a cook though, so
you let's see. You are older than me. So I feel
yeah.
like I feel like you may have got I know you got into cooking before I did because when you were in high school, you wanted to be a chef. So how about
Yeah.
you start?
So in high school, all throughout high school, I knew that I wanted to be an actor. Like that
Wait,
was
real quick.
my
Blue raspberry is the best one. Anyway, continue.
pina colada is just a little bit better than blue raspberry.
Tropical punch. Yeah, it's okay. But blue raspberry, one of the better. I also like the peach mango light one. That's
Yeah, the
good.
peach
Body
mango
armor,
light one is good.
body armor, and liquid that. Just you keep me going. So I'll do it.
So in high school, I knew that I wanted to be an actor when I left, but nobody ever really respected that answer whenever you would get asked, when you're in high school and everybody asks, what are you going to do when you leave? And you say, I'm going to be an actor. They're always going to say, okay, but like, what's your
Are
backup
you
plan? And
in
I
the
was just,
in the air? No hate to anyone, but in the era we grew up in, it was also, oh, so you're gay. I mean,
yeah,
that
that's,
was the thing.
yeah. So I just kind of got tired of consistently saying that. And I genuinely did think about going to a culinary school. I was going to go to Cordon Bleu, which is used to be here in Orlando, but it's not here anymore. But they were a culinary arts school here. And I thought that it was really neat, just the idea of making good food,
Yeah, happy
the
Pride
way to
Month,
cook.
everybody.
It is Pride Month. Happy Pride Month.
First start of it.
I didn't really get into cooking until a little bit later. I started watching Hell's Kitchen is honestly what really got me going into it. And I kind of always had basic knife skills, but to like actually see what real knife skills was on TV. That's really cool to kind of transfer. And then I started experimenting with things. I always liked the idea of being stuck at home and you don't really have anything to eat. So you just kind of go and find stuff and make something out of all of that. I enjoy eating, obviously, by the size of me, but I thought that the idea of making good food was also really cool. So I started to self teach myself how to correctly make things and different techniques on how to properly cook, and I started reading up on things like that. I started learning different things, how to properly saute or how to properly caramelize different vegetable. I mean, mainly onions. And then our grandfather was a phenomenal grill master and a really good cook. And I remember from a young age, he would show me how to grill on the grill and make steaks. And over time, he stopped going out to the grill. He just let me cook the steaks, which was a really cool thought because everybody said that grandpa steaks were the best steaks. And now I'm cooking the steaks because my steaks are better than grandpa steaks. Probably a nice little ego boost for me. And I said that kind of was like, you know what, maybe I could do this. Maybe I could actually make this a thing. Then I learned that kitchens are hot. And I do not do well in hot settings. Flashback to why am I in Florida? I do not do well in heat. I had a lot of anger issues when I was a kid. I have gotten through a lot of those anger issues until you put me somewhere where I am hot and sweating. Then I am on a very short temper and a very short fuse. So there was just no way. I have now since learned that like Gordon Ramsay on Hell's Kitchen screaming at everybody, that's not over dramatized. That's actually what kitchens looks and sound like, is everybody yelling and screaming at each other. So I think I would have been fine. I think it would have been great. I would have fit right in with everybody. I don't regret not going into it. I think I'm a fantastic home chef. I know my limitations as a home chef. Seeing how you properly cook in like a restaurant and a kitchen, I don't understand that process, because you have a line and each person has a station. Whereas a home cook, I am doing everything myself, and I'm doing all the different stations that you would, but I'm only cooking for a smaller period, and I don't have a time frame to get the food out. So I would have to relearn everything if I ever wanted to. But I do get to interview chefs, and I really do enjoy doing that, because I do have the passion for cooking as well. Not necessarily as like a work passion, but the passion to do it at home very well. My favorite thing to cook at home is either the London broil, I do a carne asada, and then a vodka penne. Those are like my 3 favorite things to do.
Yeah, and I'm glad you have an answer for that, because when I tell when I tell people I'm a chef, the first thing is, what's your favorite thing to cook? And I don't have an answer, because I I have been doing it for so long as a like in the working environment. I've cooked so many different things that I rarely actually cook at home anymore. I mean, it's mostly for the last like year and a half. It was just me at home, so I would go to Taco Bell every day because
You just cooked
delicious.
and you didn't want to cook anymore.
Yeah, basically, it was, I just like, I don't want to cook. Or I would like snack on extra fries that I made, or oops, overcooked this burger from rare to medium rare. Oopsie, and I would eat it instead of throwing it away. So like I didn't really have a favorite thing to cook. Um, Except for like my favorite thing to cook at home is a steak and the potatoes on the grill that we always used to have. Um, so like that's what I would say, and and everyone's like, "Ooh, steak sounds good." And so like, I mean, you can never go wrong saying steak is your favorite thing to cook, because most people like steak unless you don't like meat.
Yeah. Do you want to
And
know, from an interviewing standpoint, do you want to know what the most common thing I get is?
what?
Chicken Alfredo, which is such a stupid answer.
That is stupid. It's probably just because it's really fucking easy to
It's
make.
the number one thing that I mean, truthfully, I want to say 80% of the people's answers that I get is chicken Alfredo.
But do you know what
Continue.
I've realized with people though? There's a lot of people I know, and when they're like, "Oh, I could really go for pasta," I'm like, "Okay, like what kind of pasta?" Chicken Alfredo is always like when someone's like, "I want pasta," 9 out of 10 times they're thinking they want chicken Alfredo, so it makes sense.
I'm never thinking chicken Alfredo.
I'm I'm not either, but I also like veer more towards a Hispanic food than like if someone's like, "Do you want Hispanic or Italian tonight?" I'm always going to go Hispanic. I rarely do go towards a Italian route. Even though Italian food is delicious, but that also is ranch dressing is also
I
a
hate ranch
huge
dressing.
in my mind, Italian food is always like a rich person thing to eat. I always ate it when I was with wealthier people. And we
That's fair.
grew up in a very Hispanic area as well. So I ate Hispanic food a lot.
I
Um,
prefer Italian over Hispanic personally, but Asian wins every single time. There's so much variety in Asian foods, though.
there's so much variety in Hispanic food too, though.
Yeah, but there's more variety in Asian. You've
um,
got everything from Mongolian to uh, Szechuan to traditional Chinese, Japanese, Vietnamese, Korean. Oh, Korean food. Love me some Korean food.
Korean food is good. But yeah, so like getting to ask that question is very hard when you're cooking. Especially, I cooked. I'd have multiple places I cooked at once. So at one point, I was cooking in a Thai restaurant and also a place that served hamburgers and hot dogs and
Nice.
brats, you know. So it's
How would you like your pad thai burger today?
yeah. But no, I got into cooking. I've always enjoyed the idea of cooking. When our mother cooked for us, it was good. Um, uh, in my dad's house, we tried several different diets, so Jackie would learn many different meal types and cook them. And that also got me into I love hot sauce, and so like we started getting all these different hot sauces. I would be gifted them constantly. We found Pocus Hottest. Get your hot sauce from Pocus Hottest. It's great. But she had all these crazy flavors, like this blueberry hot sauce, which is great.
Blueberry hot sauce.
Blueberry hot sauce, and you wouldn't
That sounds
think
good.
to put it on certain things, but it honestly could be put on anything, and it was delicious.
The first thing I'm thinking of is blueberry hot sauce with chicken and waffles.
Oh God, yeah, that's it right there. But like with all these different flavor profiles she had and all these different hot sauces, I really started getting into it because I'm like, oh, you compare this with this, and so I always liked the idea of food and cooking. But at that time, I was really into baking as well, which now baking is like one of my least favorite things, mostly because I moved to a place that was 8,000 feet higher than Florida and tried to bake cinnamon rolls, and they were great cinnamon rolls. Um, great cinnamon rolls, but they went. So first time making homemade cinnamon rolls from scratch did not work in Colorado, also with ovens that weren't working. But
I can't bake because I can't follow instructions to a T.
No, it's a very thing, and I don't enjoy doing it either. But people will often ask me to do something, and I will always take a challenge. Someone said, "Make me cinnamon rolls." I did it. So I got into it just by that, but I was never like, oh, it's gonna be the thing I was gonna do. I was really into filming and film editing, but I needed to work, and so I started working at Universal. And I got really into that. Like I got really into being someone that was in the spotlight, like an actor. Like I just really enjoyed being a character of some sort, and um, in a fun place, working in a fun place, being a fun person. Even when I was a lifeguard, I was still like a character. I was still not myself, and I enjoyed it very much. So I never really thought about like, oh, like cooking as a profession. I like doing it at home, but doing it as a profession was weird. And then I moved to Tampa, and I needed a job, so I just was like, I'll get a job until I find something else. Um, and so I started working at Chick-fil-A. I applied to be a counter person. I actually applied to be in the drive-thru, and they were like, "Are you okay being out in the sun all day?" And I'm like, "Well, that's all I've ever been." So yeah. Um, and they were like, "Okay." And then someone else came up to me, and they're like, "If you don't want to be this, we also need someone for the front counter. If you don't want to be in the sun all the time." And I was like, "Well, if that's an option, sure, I'll take it." And because because I said that, I did not get the job. Um, and because there was discrepancy in my answers, which that was the only thing I changed. And I said, if that's an option, I'll take it, but I'm also good with whatever, like I've stated. And so I got the guy who like did my initial interview. He felt really bad. He's like, "I don't know what the fuck happened, dude. I'm sorry. You're a really good guy." He calls me up a month later. And he's like, "I got a job in the kitchen for you." And I said, "Well, I need money, so let's do it."
So let's go.
Yeah. So I was breading the chicken at Chick-fil-A and frying it up and burning myself constantly. Um, but I was doing it, and it felt fun. And then I moved down to Bradenton, and I was working in the schools, and I needed an extra job. So someone found me this interview at a country club kitchen, and they said, "Do you want how much kitchen experience do you have?" And I was like, "I worked in 2 Chick-fil-A kitchens for like 6 months at the same time. And he's like, okay, so that's a year of experience. And I went, cool. That's a fun way to trick, to do your kitchen experience. But then I didn't get that job. And I got a job. I ended up getting a job at a bar in downtown Bradenton. And they were like, how good are you at cooking? Like, have you ever cooked on a flat top before? Have you ever, done all this and this and this? And I was like, yeah,
Of course I have.
I've definitely done that. I'm better at frying. I can bread some chicken tenders and other things you want.
You were lying through your teeth, being like, I have no idea what you're asking, but sure.
Yeah, it really was.
If
And
the
it was
answer
also,
is yes, then I get a job, then yes.
yeah, it was also to my downfall because only two of us worked at that kitchen at a time. So if they went out for a smoke break, I had to figure that out. I mean, it's not hard. It really isn't. It's not hard to figure out. It's just doing it right.
Yeah, just like any job.
Yeah. So, it's like if you know how to construct the thing, and you can, like I can cook a burger. It's easy to do that. When chicken's done. I've taken all the food safety classes. I know when things need to be done and how they need to be done. It's just a matter of learning the equipment. And so I did. They would go out on their smoke break. I would either make myself something or an order would come in, and I would start it, and then I would also watch how it was made. And so I kind of learned that way. And at that point, I still wouldn't really have considered myself a chef. But then I went to go work at this camp in Colorado.
Yeah.
And here I go lying through my teeth again. I was supposed to be a counselor, and the camp cook that we had, she couldn't work. She ended up having an issue and she needed to leave. So they needed someone, and they already were talking about if anyone could help in the kitchen because it was only one person. And I was like, if they ever need help, I can step in because I know. And so when that person couldn't work anymore, we were on the look for a new cook to cook entire meals for several people all at once. And at this point, I had been a short order cook, and just cooked them as it came in.
Short order cook is
Short order cook, line cook. It's just somewhat. It's like when you work at or it's like when you go to Olive Garden and a family puts their order in, that order comes in, you just cook that order. It's a short order.
still working on a line.
Yeah, line cook and a short. Some people say line cooks and short order cooks are different because sometimes line cooks have like that specific job you were talking about. But
It depends on the kind of restaurant.
yeah. So I was that. And so we were looking for a chef. It was like 3 days before the start of camp. And I was like, is it easier to find a new counselor than it is a new camp cook? And she's like, yeah. I was like, oh, I can be the cook. Just bullshitted my way into that promotion. And she was like, yeah, here's how much you're going to get paid, which holy shit was like double what I was getting paid. So I was like, yeah, I'll definitely do this. And I bullshitted my way through the first 2 weeks of like, here's all these random things that the previous person had ordered, which like artichoke hearts. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I don't want to serve this to people. But I created a menu, and I learned.
You created a menu out of the items that were there.
Yeah, and
Did you have to work with like people's allergies? Like, were there allergies at the camp?
So we had several people who were allergic to different things. We had several people who were gluten free, and not that big of a deal. It wasn't that hard to work around it, honestly, but it was difficult because some of our campers, I worked at a camp for kids and adults with special needs. And so some of these people's mindset is if I don't get that same thing, I'm going to be upset. So it's difficult to create a menu where, and also like, you don't want to be serving tacos and give a kid a pizza. Like that's just,
Yeah.
on as a person who is a chef, and I want everyone to have as close to the same meal as possible. So planning those meals when we had a lot of people with gluten-free and diet, when we had a lot, it was easy because it's like I can create the whole menu to be separate, like to work with both. But when you have like one person, you have to work around just one. It's a little bit harder because you're like, oh, we can have this meal. Shit, this person can't have it. Is it okay if they have something slightly different? Um, but it really isn't hard. It's just coming up with enough meals that either don't include gluten or dairy, a lot of dairy allergies, or finding the things for meals that have it, like gluten-free noodles, you can find, but like like something that you wouldn't think has gluten in it that does, it's like, ah, shit. You have to
Yeah.
find a substitute. Like you can't ever find gluten-free pancakes at the store, but you can find gluten-free waffles. So it's like I can make everyone pancakes instead of this person gluten-free waffles.
Mhm.
Um, so like that's not a big deal.
What's the hardest thing you've ever had to make?
I honestly don't know. I wouldn't say that anything's. Oh, I guess the hardest thing is something I've never made before. So like I did a ham boil for St. Patrick's Day weekend camp.
Okay.
And it wasn't hard. It was just worrying that I wasn't doing it right and it might taste bad. Nothing. I don't think I say anything that I've ever cooked has been hard ever. Like it just cooking has come so naturally. It's like I know what to do here, do this, chop this up, whatever.
What's
But
your
it's
least favorite thing to make then?
I don't like making pancake. I don't like making breakfast food. I
Is
hate
there a
making
reason?
breakfast food. It just everything cooks so fast that cooks at different times. And then also the kitchen I was working in did not have state of the art brand new equipment. It was all old donated equipment that really needed to be done up. And so it's just like you would put each oven at 350 and put your bacon in, and
And one oven's done 3
one
minutes
oven
before the
one
other.
oven has burnt the bacon in 5 minutes, and one bacon is still raw 2 hours later. And you're like, what the actual like? So it's just, and eggs are really hard to do just right. And I can make good eggs, but you can't just serve people eggs. And also, every camper I ever served eggs to were like, "Ew, eggs! I can't have eggs. Can I just make breakfast burritos?" I will make people breakfast burritos any day. I do like making breakfast burritos, but like they were like, "It has eggs in it," and so like no one wants to eat it. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. And like I had my boss approve every menu, and she was like, "No, I love this. Like, let's have breakfast burritos." And it's
Favorite
also
kind of
really
egg?
fun. It's really fun to make a shit ton of breakfast burritos or wraps of any kind, because I would have the system where I would make everything and then just lay out 20 tortillas and just go at it and then wrap each one. Um,
That's pretty
so,
cool.
and I think the camp meals, if your short order meals were hard or easier than camp meals, because you can plan enough to cook for 30 people, but once you do it, it's not always right. And so it's like you just like you always plan to cook for about 20 people more than you're serving for seconds and all that. But also making, like, once you start cooking it, you're like, shit, this wasn't enough the first time. And that was the hardest thing to learn, was ordering. And that's the hardest part about being a chef who runs something, is ordering enough, getting it right, but also staying within budget. And that's the hardest experience I've had.
That's fair.
So yeah, but I've been cooking for 8 years now.
Chad is asking, what is the worst dish you ever ate? I can answer that right now.
Yeah, go ahead.
For me, it's I love our mother, but it's Hamburger Helper beef stroganoff that she used to make for us as kids. I threw up twice on
I
two
don't think I
different
ever ate.
occasions.
I just think I always skipped dinner.
I
Wait, hold on 1 second.
I also stopped eating it on those days.
I'm listening, and I heard about the hamburger helper. Ask him about the puffin.
Oh, Mom wants to know though.
Yeah.
Is the puffin better than that hamburger helper?
Yes. Yes, it is. I also had puffin again the second time when we were in Iceland, and it was way better the second time. I don't know what they did differently, but it was way better the second time. But I still to this day refuse to even try beef stroganoff anywhere because of the hamburger helper. And I don't think that it was Mom's fault. I think it's just hamburger helper and beef stroganoff in general that I can't stand. I also don't like I don't like meat in my macaroni, and I think that's from the chili mac hamburger helper that we had.
I had a coworker who was obsessed with tuna helper, and that just sounds gross to me.
That sounds appalling.
Yeah. He was like, oh, he wanted tuna and everything and peas and everything, which nothing is peas. I'm just not a pea guy. But he wanted peas and tuna. He's like, tuna helper with peas. And I'm like, you're fucking gross. Get out of my face. I don't know if I have a worse dish, but
a very close second would have been the pickled brisket that Angela made when she used red wine vinegar as opposed to red wine.
Yeah, no, ew. Is she trying to make pastrami? I don't like squash. So anything that had yellow or like yellow squash and zucchini, just no. Never been a fan of anything with that.
Have you ever had a butternut squash soup?
No, but I don't like squash.
I think you should try a butternut squash soup because I'm not a huge squash fan either. But butternut squash is where it's at.
So I never liked anything with that. There was I started hating. We would often have this meal where we would have like sweet potato baked with things on. I got this frozen buffalo cauliflower, which was delicious, but after a while, it started having this chemically taste, and that put me off of that cauliflower and sweet potatoes in general. There's some sweet potato fries out there that are great, but I'm not. This a baked sweet potato with that cauliflower just put me off both. So I started hating that. There was this one meal. No hate to Jackie out there, but there was this one meal that Jackie made when we were all vegan. I was vegan part-time, but at home meals I was vegan. That was just gross. I don't know what it was, but it was gross. Even the hot sauce couldn't help it. And I just never ate it. And I mean, I think she would admit that there were some things that she would say it often. She was like, there's some things that she knew she wasn't great at. And she's gotten a lot better cooking over the years.
She used to do the baked avocado with the egg in the middle. I never thought of anything like that before that. And that still to this day, that's game changing to me, is the baked egg and avocado.
When she used to make the cupcake pan lined with bacon and the egg in it and bake that.
Yeah.
That was great. I actually did that for camp as a breakfast meal. And
that's a good breakfast meal.
Yeah, and every camper hated it because
it's egg.
Yeah. I'm serious. I'm like, what the hell is wrong with eggs?
Jackie also turned me on to Richard Blaze. And I think that added Richard things Blaze. into cooking as well. Because I remember we did like the molecular gastronomy on the food, in the house, and that was cool to like.
They were making bubbles out of everything.
I bubble everything.
But no, yeah, I like, and like Jackie and I would talk about cooking a lot. So like, I think it was just around us. We were around a very cookie family. Like our grandparents, our mom cooked. She would never say I'm no chef or anything, but she cooked a lot of meals at home.
She did,
and she has some good ones.
The chicken I still love the chicken wrapped in beef. Love that. And then she used to make spinach Alfredo pizza.
Yeah, and her taco pizza. She also
Taco pizza, yeah.
She also made a lot of quiches. Her ham and sausage quiche I loved. Wasn't a big fan of the spinach one.
Bring back a core memory there. I forgot about the quiches, but yeah. There was quiche like once a week or
every
something
week.
like that.
Yeah, she made quiche a lot. She likes quiche. Apparently it's because we were poor and quiche is cheap to make. But hey,
of course. That's
we
when
all
we
knew
were
we
doing
were
Hamburger
poor.
Helper too, and that's fine.
But there were some meals where I would never expect was a poor meal.
But even poor meals poor meals are poor meals, but when you make a poor meal taste good,
yeah,
that's talent.
I mean, ratatouille is technically a poor meal, and it was served in such an elegant way in that movie because ratatouille made the ratatouille that good, and it remembered. And I don't know if you know this, but the house and his mom that he remembered was the old lady that was at the beginning of the movie. Fun fact. Did you not know that? Where Ratatouille gets the cookbook from, that's the food critic's mom, and that's the house he grew up in.
Is it?
Yeah.
I might have to go back and rewatch that. I'm not a big fan of that movie, but that might mean enough to me to go back.
You like cooking and you don't like Ratatouille?
I'm not a huge Ratatouille fan, but I also am not a huge fan of France or anything French.
Yeah, French people. But I mean, that's where, and that's also the thing. So I went to school to be critically acclaimed chef with the ACC, American Chef something, which is not what you have to become a chef. That's just where you get benefits within their culture and blah, 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 blah. But that's all through like proper like tweezer cooking. I'm not a tweezer cooking kind of guy. I like cooking and making stuff look pretty, but I don't want to have to get out the micro tweezers and put garnish on a plate that you're not going to eat. Garnish should be meant to be eaten. If you're buying flowers and things to be put on that plate, you're just wasting money.
I eat the flowers.
Well, yeah, but like not everyone does. Or if you're
everybody should eat the flowers.
If you're putting stuff on that like doesn't even go with the dish, it's just like you shouldn't. If it's non-edible flowers or if it's it's just it's just wasting money.
No, I 100% get where you're coming from, and I understand and I agree. I also think that garnishes should be used, and you should have just put them there for just to be pretty. But man, some garnishes do look real pretty. A garnish that I have started using a little bit more, and you don't eat it. I'll take steak and I'll season the steak how I normally do, and I'll sear it, cook it up, grill it, what I'm doing, and then I'll slice it and I'll put it into a serving dish, and then I will take dried rosemary and I will torch the rosemary, and then I will throw that into the serving dish and cover the lid, which will extinguish the flame, and then it'll be the smoke from the rosemary will infuse into the meat.
But if you're serving that in a restaurant, what you do is you take the rosemary away before you serve it. Yeah, or you use a smoking gun and you put the rosemary in the fire aspect of the smoking gun. But you
burn it right there tableside. You burn it right there tableside. I've seen it done in a restaurant, my guy.
Yeah, but what I'm talking about,
flashy aspect.
What I'm talking about is like you don't do that. You don't. It's wasting. But it is adding to the dish, and that is the most important part of a garnish. Is you shouldn't throw garnish on that doesn't add anything to the dish. But yeah, and like, there's a show that was on Fox. It's on Hulu only, but I think it's through Fox. It's called The Bear. Have you watched this, Spencer?
The Bear.
The Bear. It stars Lip Gallagher, and it's fantastic. It is the most real life visual of working in the kitchen that you will ever see, and it's fantastic. it's very, very emotional in a lot of ways, and it's just outright an amazing show done so well.
Is it spelled
Um,
like the animal bear
yeah, the animal
or
bear,
BARE? Okay.
bear, the animal. Um, and it's an utterly fantastic show, but it is stressful, but it's a great show and you should watch it. I got started thinking about because they serve beef sandwiches, and when you were talking about steak, how I would do it is I would slice it up and I would put that shit in a bun, and you eat that as a steak sandwich, like a hoagie roll. Ooh. Anyway, Hell's Kitchen. I watched a little bit of Hell's Kitchen, but I like I like the show Chopped, not Chopped. I do like Chopped, but Cutthroat Kitchen, because I love Alton Brown.
I still haven't seen that, but I've heard it's really good. I
Yeah,
like Hell's
so
Kitchen a lot.
I love Alton Brown. He is an inspiration. I watched Good Eats a lot, but the best thing about that is like in Chopped, they'll throw a mystery ingredient in and they'll just like, oh, they're doing that wrong, but they won't explain anything else. But in
Mhm.
Cutthroat Kitchen, with each challenge that he does, where you think this is fucking impossible, Alton Brown tests everything that he creates to make sure you are able to complete the challenge. And he'll actually explain everything. Like he'll explain to the camera, like, you should do this with this thing, and it'll come out right. And I love that because you learn
That's
so
cool.
much.
I Fox came out with a show called Next Level Chef.
Yeah, I just
And
watched that with mom.
that was phenomenal. I think they did a season 2, and I haven't seen season 2, but season 1 was really good.
Season 2 is what I just watched. I haven't seen season 1. She was watching season 2, and I just like sat next to her, and I kind of got into it.
Yeah. I like Gordon Ramsay a lot, and I like Richard Blais. So obviously, with the two of them
Yeah.
being two of the three hosts, it was perfect. The other chef, I can't remember her name, but she's really, really talented as well. It's cool to listen to her approaches on things.
Yeah.
And the whole concept of if you do good, you get to be on the top, but you can still lose by somebody who's working in a worse kitchen than you is just really cool.
I like Guys Grocery Games. I think it's a fun one to watch because there's a lot of good chefs. What's his
Naisha,
name?
thank you.
Justin. I don't remember his last name. Justin. He's like the Richard Blais of this generation because he just uses science for everything, and he does these crazy combinations, and that's like what Richard Blais is known for. And so it's like he's the Richard Blais of the new generation. I love him. Diners, drive-ins, and dives are is my hotel watching show because it's usually late at night, and like when I took a road trip with
You
my
watched
friends.
a lot of diners.
Yeah.
Drive-ins and drives when you were in the hospital too.
I did, yeah, just because it's on.
You
and it's,
only had the Food Network on when you were in the
I do,
hospital
yeah.
until you
I
started
love-
watching House.
I love the Food Network channel. Yeah, and it's one of those things that I can like stand commercials on, and also I can watch very easily, but I can also fall asleep to very easily. And I'm not really mad if I miss any part of it. But Diners, Drive-ins, and Dives is one of those ones that is on late at night, and it's just back to back to back. And so anytime I'm in a hotel, I'll sleep on the couch instead of the bed, and I will watch that.
I will also say when I was in the hospital, I exclusively watched the Food Network, and then I watched BattleBots, and that was the only thing that I watched when I was in the hospital.
BattleBots is a good. BattleBots is fun to watch.
I mean, I didn't even know that they had a TV show.
You didn't know they had a TV show?
I didn't know they had a TV show until I was in the hospital, and I was like, BattleBots, whoa! I got to see BattleBots live. That was cool.
William Osman, a YouTube creator who we've watched a few of his videos. He does kooky engineering shit. I also watched some Practical Jokers in the hospital. But William Osman, he created an event called Open Sauce that's happening this June/July in San Francisco, and they're gonna have a bunch of battle bots there from them. But he also bought one just to fuck around with, and he
Mhm.
destroyed someone's car with it, and it's really funny. But they're opening an event called Open Sauce, and I applied to it just because I was like, hey, I'm really poor right now. I've been in the hospital and out of a job, and can I just talk about this turbo in my heart? Like I just need like a newspaper boys box in a corner, and I just thought extra learn about this thing just so I can attend the event. I didn't get in. I got the email back. I didn't get in. It's a real bummer. Uh, but it's a really cool event. So if anyone's, I think you should support these guys. They're really cool people. It's Backyard Scientists and a few other just science guys on YouTube that do just wacky, stupid shit. Backyard Scientists just tried to create a cotton candy gun to shoot cotton candy at people.
Backyard Scientists are pretty good.
So it's really cool. The guy who didn't get in the Mythbusters but now owns the Mythbusters logo and trademark is there. I don't remember his name off the top of my head. Alan Wong, I think his name is. Nile Red is going to be there. Alan Pan, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, Alan Pan. So they're just really cool guys, and they will be there. Support them, and maybe they'll support me. They'll support this lonely dude who has no clout. Yeah. So, would you say right now, Spencer, that if someone offered you a job in a kitchen, would you take it?
I don't think so. I like what I do enough, and I don't feel like that's the kind of change that I'm looking to go for. Not to say that it's never gonna happen, but I think I'm comfortable knowing that I'm a home cook, and I'm happy to be a home cook, and I'm happy to do elevated and what I think is pretty solid home cooking. Again, if I were to go into a kitchen, though, I just feel like I would have to unlearn everything that I've learned and relearn how to do it in like that restaurant bulk cooking kind of fashion. And I don't know. I'm sure I could, but it's just going to be completely different.
Yeah, it's insanely fast paced, which is crazy. It is hard. I'm actually like sometimes terrified to cook at home when I cook for people because I'm afraid that I'll either overcook or I will mess up because I'm so used to like I have 20 pounds of meat on the flat top right now to make tacos.
Yeah.
Here's how much seasoning I need. My brain, like I know my brain would adjust it, but I'm so afraid that I'll be like, here's this amount of meat for 4 people for tacos. Bam, 30 people amount of seasoning, you know. But it
50
is
pounds of meat for 4 people.
yeah, you know, just something like that. Like I either overcook or overdo something. And I'm also afraid, like when I cooked camp food, when I cook camp food, I'm on a heavy budget, right? So like when I ask people if it's good, I ask people for the feedback. They say it's good, and they say, "Wow, this is like the best camp food I've ever had," which great compliment, makes me feel good. But at the same time, I'm so afraid that when I cook just for individual people, that it will be dog shit, and like it'll suck, and people will be like, "How are you a chef? Your food sucks."
Well, I can say that pizza bagels are not very difficult to make, and I'm aware of that. And I've made some pretty good pizza bagels for myself here, but your pizza bagels were really good when you made them for me.
And I really appreciate that. And yeah, you're right. They're not hard to make. But I appreciate that. I'm also afraid right now that I have cooked very sober when I was cooking for the camp, but I'm also afraid that like cooking sober for people that like you, like, you know, like if I'm cooking for like you and Angela, doing it sober won't be as good as when I was high because my brain is like, this has to taste fucking phenomenal. And it has to be good for them too. They need food. But no, I appreciate that, but like if I cooked you something else, I'm afraid that like you'll be like this sucks, you know? And it's
I would tell
totally
you too.
an irrational fear. Yeah, I know you would, which is great because I need that from people. Because I've
Yeah.
had the people who tell me, yeah, it's good, just because they don't want me to feel bad. But it's like, no, I want your actual honest truth. Like I've made small things for people, and I'm like, please tell me what this is, so I know if I can add it to the menu, or I need to leave it off.
Yeah.
So I need those brutally people, and it's hard making a menu for that. Like
It's hard making a menu just in general.
Yeah, like I don't even know what I want to eat for dinner tonight, you know? Like I walk into the grocery store like I'm going to have this, and I walk in, I'm like, I don't know what I want anymore. And there's too many options. And I just end up leaving with a package of Oreos and some popcorn, and that's my dinner. Unless I go into
That's how
Taco
you
Bell.
drink that milk that's in your fridge.
Yeah. Otherwise it's gonna go bad. Or it's some brownies and some chalky milk because I'm having a bad day.
Ugh. Chunky milk.
So
I love chunky milk.
yeah. You recently went to Louisiana though, and you took a class.
Yeah, I did go to Louisiana, and we took it was like a New Orleans specific cooking class. It was hands off, so we didn't actually cook anything, but we were there when the instructor was cooking. And we had like the recipe and everything in front of us, and she kind of went over what each step was and why you needed to do it. They made gumbo, jambalaya, and then pralines. So technically I know how to make all of those. I don't know if I would trust myself doing the pralines personally. I'll be honest, I wasn't a big fan of their jambalaya. She said the correct way that jambalaya is supposed to be, according to the New Orleans style cooking, the rice is still kind of crunchy. And it's not that it's undercooked, it's just the way that they prepare it, it's crunchy. And I do not like crunchy rice. I like soft rice. So I was not a fan of the jambalaya, but the gumbo that we had there was the best gumbo that I had in Louisiana. And then I've taken that recipe and I've kind of tweaked it my own little way, and I've made gumbo here. And I think my gumbo is pretty damn good.
Which you did say you were going to make me some gumbo, and I am going to be in Florida soon. So if you could bring that down, I would like to try your gumbo. Maybe we can food review your gumbo.
I mean, I guess maybe.
Tune
I
into
guess
Two
maybe I'll see
Brothers
if I
where
can figure
two
it out.
grown-ass men eat gumbo on camera, and you watch.
I mean, I could see if I can get it prepared.
All right. Well, this has been the Two Brothers podcast, and I
That
appreciate
is it. It's just two brothers.
everyone coming in to the Two Brothers podcast. It's Two Brothers. If you missed part of this episode or you missed the first episode, they are going to be on YouTube soon. I just have to verify so I can put longer videos than 12 minutes on. So they'll be on YouTube if you want to catch what you missed.
If you have an idea for any future debate topics, we're always welcome to hear what your comments are on that, and we'll try to slip them as we come through. But yeah.
You have a mic Viking? Are you saying you want to be part of the Two Brothers podcast? That's what I heard. All righty. Thanks for tuning in. It has
Thank you,
been a
guys.
pleasure. It is us, Two Brothers, and
Two
we'll see you
Brothers.
next time.
Yeah.
Thanks
I
to
don't know
Free
why you had to
Daps
go.
for letting us use their music.
Slap the handle right now.
Oh, Mike
Now
to
you're
use
gone.
the gumbo on. Oh,
one's
get that
crazy, Josh.
ASMR gumbo
This
sounds.
one's for you. Yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah.
You were just 3 buildings.
See y'all
red, blue,
later.
and gray. Thought we'd be forever. Wish that you could stay. Looking for some ammo, man, we always knew the place. Till a rock from outer space came and blew all you away. Remember having shootouts right behind your shelves. And sneaking with my shotgun just to find some shells. Your doors were always open, I could find myself. But season 4 came in the blink of an eye. You fell, Dusty Depot. All that's left of you's a depot. Let's go back to season 3 though. You'll be in our hearts forever. R.I.P. bro. Oh, Dusty Depot. Yeah. Remember this like it was yesterday. Me and my squad, we finally get to play. Dropped a shifty, had to get away. I knew right where I would set my pace. Was on a mission, but you was missing. If Dusty Depot had some lips then I'd like to kiss them. But I'd only try to kiss them if they consented. But then the comet came and hit it. Now it's just a divot. Dusty Depot. Just 3 buildings in a neat row. I love them like they were people. Season 5 may be the